Yes, online people, can you hear me? Nice and fine? Okay. So, today with us we have Moksh. Now, Moksh is I think for last 2.5 years he has been with us. And one thing I think he have done very brilliantly, that he have prepared, very surprisingly all by himself, right? Just he wrote test, nothing else, right? So that is something very remarkable. And he have made notes which is, unparalleled in that sense, okay? So you have a Telegram group also, right? So he will be sharing notes. Today he could not bring actually, right? So he will be sharing it. Now, I've asked him to sort of, give lecture in the sense that if you are self-preparing, right, what can you do, right? Or what are the steps you can take? And there are certain people online who is also, I think one of them, I mean few of them are writing mains also, ठीक है? ध्यान रखिएगा उसका, जो लोग mains लिख रहे हैं, तो give them some special tips कि जो mains लिखने जा रहे हैं, how to do it. And he have scored this year, see relatively this year every optional has less marks, right? So this year still, he got relatively very good marks in optional, given the overall, optional marks. So, he will.
I'll deal with that. I'll deal with this very specific.
Very, in detail he will deal, not to worry. Okay. So, continue, and after this, we will see. Okay. Uske baad we will start with that. Okay.
A very good afternoon, guys. And today I'm here. My name is Moksh Dilip Ranawat, for all who don't know. I'm All India rank 251 in this year's examination, and I've scored around 258 in this year's law optional. Now, हम जब start कर रहे हैं ना, before I explain you anything, मैं बहुत लोगों को जानता हूँ कि उनके दिमाग में एक ही डाउट चल रहा है, और ये optional तो scoring नहीं है, optional तो scoring नहीं है. Let's first understand what exactly is happening and where we are standing. This year, the scaling has been such that the highest in the law optional is 269, and what has happened because of it, it seems like the optional is not that very scoring, but it's not a fact. Scaling हर साल बदलती है. There's some different logic which goes into it, which I'm not aware of, and many of us aren't. But this optional has shown good scores across the years. Of course, not as much as others. 300 आने की chance कम है, but इस optional के कुछ इतने अच्छे फायदे हैं जो generally बाकी options के नहीं होते. So I come from a law background. I have done my graduation from Symbiosis Law School, Pune. And I'd like you to first understand a few things about this optional very clearly. Why you should take the law optional. First, it is a very strong overlap with GS2. Your, in a way, 50% syllabus give or take is done. Second thing, heavy value in GS4. I have realized that when I use Latin maxims while explaining topics, while in case studies, or where I'm writing section 144 CRPC or anything, that has given me substantial value in a case study, because we think from a law enforcement mindset. People don't. So they will argue an ethical rule book. We will argue a legal rule book. So one should appreciate that. Third, very important thing. If you are a lawyer and if you're not attempting the law optional, you're going to have to learn about it in the interview. And take it from me, this is not coincidence, but rather a fact, that if you are a law optional student who has appeared in the interview, you will always score good. If you know your law, that is. Because Shubham Jain, 190 plus. This year, Aditya Mathur, 205. I myself have gotten 206. Virupaksh scored really well. My friend Ayushi, she scored 200 plus. So point is what? Everyone who's attempted from the law optional has somehow showed a very high trend curve towards 200. And that has not come because we are just good speakers, but because we have good content over law. And this I have seen personally in my interview. So this is one very important thing. Fourth, scaling is variable. 300 seems impossible today. It might not be impossible the very next year. Technical optionals overall have a certain lesser edge. This is sadly a reality. But we need to understand that हम कुछ लेके आ रहे हैं सर्विस में. आप सर्विस में चले भी जाओगे, if you're an IPS officer, let's assume, तो आपको आपका syllabus पता होगा inside out, because you've already done criminal law. This is just a start of the exam, the start of your career. Once you clear this exam, you also have to be good at what you do. So that has an added advantage. Last, this is my personal opinion, I think there's a huge lack of proper answer writing, analysis and innovation. हम सबको आर्टिकल 12 स्टेट पता है, हम सब लोग वो केसेस लिख के आते हैं. सुखदेव सिंह, भगत राम, हजे हासिया, खालिद मुजीब, जी फिल्म्स तक जाते हैं हम लोग. मतलब there's a structure involved, and what is happening, we are not innovating enough. So the reader, when he's checking, he's also like, okay, I'll mark you the same thing which I'm marking others. Now coming to the fact that, see, we know what this optional is, so how do we crack it and make it the best? ये साल की mains जो भी लोग दे रहे हैं, how can you score maximum? Now that is where I'm going to give you some suggestions. Okay. These are my priorities according to me. The first thing, always attempt the part less attempted. It will give you a better score. I had 115 in paper 1. That year I had attempted constitutional law. Now, when I attempted it, I thought I'm very good at constitutional law. I forgot that everyone's good at it. Next year I decided I'm not going to do this. I went with international law. This year I attempted the IMF and World Bank question. Excellent marks. My marks jumped 15 points just here. Similarly, the first attempt when I had attempted, I had somewhat कुछ तो उस समय क्लिक होके CLD कर लिया मैंने. 134 मेरा स्कोर था वो साल. ये साल I again took criminal law because I wanted to play it safe. That led to 128, but give or take, the scores increase on a more difficult tangential curve. Because आप जब कुछ ऐसा दे रहे हो जो एग्जामिनर ने नहीं पढ़ा है ना, तो वो भी आपको मार्क्स दे रहा है. ये इस एग्जाम का एक ओवरऑल हाई रिस्क हाई रिवॉर्ड सिचुएशन है. ऑफ कोर्स ऐसे एक क्वेश्चंस मत अटेम्प्ट करना जिसका जीरो क्लू है, तो आप गए. बट अगर आप CLD की साइड या इंटरनेशनल लॉ की साइड ज़्यादा स्ट्रेंथ रखेंगे ना, उधर आपको एक एडेड बेनिफिट दिखेगा. Memories of paramount importance and notes. These 2 points are very important. First, having your notes in place is very important. Unlike other students, I have never done dukis because in Bombay we are suki, and we generally did job wala, but I was not even a guide person. So I entered buying those big books, and then since I bought them, I actually read them. So PSA Pillai for criminal law, SK Kapoor for international law. I used a JN Pandey version for constitutional law, and torts and contracts luckily I had in my law school, so it was easier to cover. Ratan Lal, Dheeraj Lal. And lastly, I had for CLD I had to sit and go through each and everything. I made my own comprehensive notes. As time progresses and I will scan my notes, I will keep uploading them. You can check out my Telegram channel. Amidst the notes I have seen in the market and my own notes, I am of the personal opinion that my notes have covered literally everything cover to cover. All you need to do is go through them. I have made sure criminal law के जितने PYQ आते हैं उनका सबका एक मॉडल आंसर है मेरे पास. मेरे पास इंटरनेशनल लॉ की वो चीज़ें हैं जो जनरली लोग नहीं लिखते, कि अभी WTO का क्वेश्चन है तो मैं उसके केस नंबर्स लिख के आता था जो WTO में चल रहे हैं, या आई थिंक I used to do that, and these small things ना, they add so much value. अभी मैं आपको कुछ practical tips दूंगा. If you're writing mains ना, this is very important. आपको ज़रूरत नहीं है कि आप क्या होता है ना, हम इंटरनेशनल लॉ में इंटरनेशनल बहुत बार लिख लेते हैं, the full word इंटरनेशनल, स्पेस खाता है, टाइम नहीं होता. Just write INT and one second, let me show you. Just write something like INT apostrophe L, international. Try to make sure your space gets reduced. Well, speed बहुत paramount importance की है. Small things. I give or take, when you write an international law paper, you realize I'm writing international minimum 30 times. ऐसे करके तुम एक 15-20 सेकंड भी बचा रहे हो ना, तुम्हें उसका tangible benefit समझ में नहीं आएगा, but वो है. Law optional papers greatest benefit is it is an 80% repetition rate. Like unbelievable. इतना repetition rate बाकी कोई subject नहीं देता. So before I'll explain कि तुम्हारा strategy क्या होना चाहिए या मेरे लिए क्या work किया, I would like to very clearly lay down that 80% repetition rate है. PYQs के साथ बैठो, last 4 साल के सारे PYQs करके लो, and somehow you'll realize that okay, I've kind of covered the entire syllabus. Where it is not necessary, don't spend your time. For instance, I have seen people try to understand multiple dimensions of Article 21. That is a maze. Why do you want to get into it? Just focus on whatever questions were asked, understand right to life क्या है, right to personal liberty क्या है, उनका थोड़ा jurisprudence रखो, environment की क्वेश्चंस आए हुए हैं CLD में, तो तुम घूम के 21 से कनेक्ट करोगे, या ओल्गा टेलिस है या मेजर केसेस है, वो आपको पता होता है. Even your GS2 overlap hits here. So all you need to do, base coverage. IL की आंसर राइटिंग इज वन थिंग आई थिंक मेजॉरिटी बच्चों की वीक होती है, क्योंकि हम बहुत बेसिक चीज़ें लिख के आ जाते हैं कि just the definition or the section, because memorizing all the sections itself gets confusing. Like, so one thing one can do is sit and look at your IL copy and try to make it more consti like. Like if you'll see my notes and you'll see my answers, I have a model answer for everything. मैं 5 पॉइंट दे रहा हूँ तो मेरे पास 5 IL के केसेस भी हो जाते हैं. I have those cases which are generally not very heard of, and the reason I keep them is because you need data to substantiate your facts in an entire law paper. It doesn't work otherwise. Another pro tip I would give is use jurists. People don't use jurists. Salmon, Houston, Winfield. For tort law, it's Salmon, Houston, Winfield. For your international law, it can be Professor Oppenheimer, Schweitzer, yeah, whatever important authors are there. कॉन्स्टी में तो बहुत है, JN पांडे, वो MP जैन, फिर ये HM सिरवाई, नानी पालकी वाला, कोर्ट जजेस, चंद्रचूड ने ये बोला था या उन्होंने ये बोला था. NV Ramana said when anarchy reigns it's the end of rule of law, something on those lines. So just write something like that and have your jurists ready, have your content ready, and then make a short version of this entire thing so that you can summarize and put it up very clearly. So let me put it this way, if I was starting off with the law optional today, my first priority would be I'd read all the books. My second priority would be to make a detailed notes of those books. Now once I've made my detailed notes, a good suggestion would be, at my time there was one topper whose notes were very famous and were running around in ORN. I forgot his name, South Indian name. Do you remember? B. Shrikant, something. So he was very famous and his notes were there. So I used to make my notes and check from his, so that have I missed something? Have I covered everything? And because I had his base, I developed notes which are much better than his base because of his insights on the topic. Now that kept developing, and this year I have very good notes. So I would suggest take mine, cross-check from your detailed notes and see what if you've missed something out. Once you've made all this, start summarizing. Let's play a very nice game. Theft. Since all of you are here, who can tell me the essentials of theft? Okay. पहले मुझे सेक्शन दो. दोनों कोई भी दे दो, मुझे दोनों याद हो गए अभी, ये कंफ्यूजन ने मुझे दोनों याद करवा दिया. So it is 303 BNS, 378 IPC. Now your essential should be ekdam in the head that there must be a dishonest intention. It must be for taking of movable property. It must be to take the thing out of the possession of another. It must be done without consent. It must be for in order of taking. Okay. अब तुम्हारे पास 4 केस दिमाग में क्लीन होने चाहिए. मोहर सिंह वर्सेस राजस्थान, प्यारेलाल वर्सेस राजस्थान, KN मेहरा वर्सेस राजस्थान, अवतार सिंह वर्सेस पंजाब. अब मुझे पता है एग्जैक्टली मुझे क्या कहाँ डालना है, मेरे पास पूरा कंटेंट रेडी है. एंड व्हेन आई पुट माय नोट्स ऑन माय टेलीग्राम ग्रुप, यू कैन चेक इट आउट, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि हर चीज़ एकदम प्रोग्राम्ड है. वहाँ जाके सिर्फ एग्जीक्यूशन का काम है. अब कहीं कहीं पे आप थोड़े मैक्सिम्स भी याद करके अपने आंसर में एज ला सकते हैं. लाइक इस साल क्या आया था, इंटॉक्सिकेशन का क्वेश्चन आया था. सो मैं लिख के आया क्वी पिकाय तिब्रियस लुआद सोब्रियस. He who sins when drunk must be punished when sober. So what happens is, this way you can add constant value. Furiosus furore sui punitor. Let a madman be punished by his own madness. You're giving some maxim, you're giving some new data set, and that the examiner will appreciate. Then it's all about structuring and content. Jaydev sir, perfect. It was Jaydev sir whose base notes were very, very viral. So yeah, Sindhuja, you've asked a question, how to differentiate answers for law optional as it is different from polity or international relations. I think it's easier to write a law optional answer, it's difficult to write a GS answer. Because what happens after studying your law optional, you know everything. Yeah. Exactly. So वहाँ पे क्या करो, बस तुम जो jurist mention कर रहे हो मत करो. Don't show your legal edge in the GS papers, because somehow whenever you try doing that, GS doesn't award you better marks. I do not know why, it just hasn't worked for me. So it might work for you, but I would suggest not to do that. बाकी तो answers के points तो same ही रहेंगे. If you are talking about let's say rule of law, so you will mention the three basics Evid ICS said, right? Predominance of legal spirit, equality before law, supremacy of law, basic things. So you have to do that, but what you should follow, your logic should be, मैं core books पढ़ूंगी या पढ़ूंगा and उनका content ready करूंगी, create case list, section list and other quick revision notes. ये मेरे हर चीज़ में available थे. मेरे पास एक शीट थी क्रिमिनल लॉ की, उसमें बस एक काम था, सेक्शन, द पर्टिकुलर क्राइम, उसके एसेंशियल्स और कोई एक दो फैक्ट मुझे लगे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है जो मुझे आने ही चाहिए उतने. और फिर ओवर कोर्स मैंने उसमें केस लिस्ट को भी दोनों को मर्ज कर दिया क्योंकि वो मुझे इजी पड़ रहा था, बट आप अलग रख सकते हैं. Immense answer writing practice. I must be one of those people who has uploaded maximum number of copies in the law optional on my Telegram group. Generally people don't share it. I would suggest all fellow lawyers and everyone who's giving the optional to share those copies, because end of the day navigating this is a challenge. Like I saw Anmol's copies and I understood the answer for murder like so clearly, and I was inspired that way, so I was able to develop that answer. I in fact took a little bit of case laws from her. So you need to take that, you need to go through topo copies to understand what's the best structuring approach. And I would suggest don't try to look at the marks of this optional, क्योंकि अभी क्या है ना, ये साल हम 30 कैंडिडेट्स हो गए गिव और टेक जिन्होंने लॉ ऑप्शनल से क्लियर किया है. आई थिंक कुछ 10-12 बच्चे हो गए जो 250 से 270 की गैप में. 270 ऊपर मुझे अभी तक तो कोई मिला नहीं है. आई होप कोई हो, बट वो रैंक कैंडिडेट, आई मीन आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट रैंक कैंडिडेट्स बिकॉज देयर मार्क्स जनरली कम ऑफ इन पब्लिक और यू गेट टू नो. सो one should try to focus on having this pointers right, having your data set right and checking from topper copies. तुम एक बार नहीं तो क्या करो, बैठ के शांति से क्वेश्चन पढ़ो, आंसर लिखो और फिर टॉपर ने कैसे लिखा है वो देखो, तो तुम्हारा क्रॉस चेक भी हो जाएगा. सो दैट इज वन थिंग यू गाइज कैन डू. Lastly, tests for time management. I am a huge pro time management person, so that I always used to write my tests in 3 hours, give what may, because you might be the smartest kid in the room, but if you can't finish your paper in time, your smartness has no value. And that's what majorly kills a lot of people in this optional. या तो हाँ, if you are a first time attempter in mains, I have realized one thing. In some subjects content ही नहीं होता. Like आप criminal law कर रहे हो, आपको essentials याद होते होते और section याद होते होते आपकी energy खत्म हो जाती है. So आपको एक case law शायद याद होगा तो होगा, नहीं तो वो भी नहीं होगा. So वो first attempter क्या होता है? As you progress आपको अभी तो मुझे आप common intention के 8 cases भी पूछो तो मैं give or take बता दूंगा. So वो experience को भी आप अपने account में रखना. बाकी okay, any doubts? What are the core books we can refer? If you want, I'll repeat it. You can note it down. So Dukki's and other stuff I have not used, so I will not recommend. But I've heard it's very good from other toppers. First I would say is Constitutional Law, J.N. Pandey, maybe the concise version. For International Law, S.K. Kapoor. Again, you can take a concise version, but I have done the main book. And what happens when you're doing the main books, you can pick out some very good philosophical liners, which you can use across the aisle. So, for what was it? Criminal Law, P.S.A. Pillai. For Tort Law, Avtar Singh, revised edition. I had my notes from college, so that helped me a little bit. What else is there? Contract Law, Avtar Singh. उसमें बहुत अच्छी lines है, like Anson had said that acceptance is like a matchstick to a train of gunpowder. Use this anywhere very wisely in contract law and it will really come up. Yeah, so there was this justice who said that public policy is like an unruly horse. You don't know where, once you get astride it, you do not know where it will lead you. So use this wit in your answers and it will reward. CLD, I'll deal with CLD properly because 90% of people are doubtful in CLD. आप बैठो, ये टाइम लेगा. दिस इज अ 6 month ऑप्शनल बट 80% रेपिटेशन रेट है. सो CLD के साथ आप बैठ के एक बार पूरी एक्ट के मेजर प्रोविजन है उनको समराइज करके ले लो और फिर उस पर करंट क्वेश्चंस क्या चल रहे हैं वो चेक करो. जनरली लाइव लॉ से आप चेक कर सकते हैं, आप इंटरनेट पे एक सर्च मार के भी कर सकते हैं. एंड जस्ट बी अवेयर ऑफ द बेसिक्स. इवन इफ यू डोंट नो एवरीथिंग ना, having a base idea is sufficient. Like for me, arbitration is something very dear to me because I wrote a paper on it in my college times at Oxford and it also helped me during my interview. So मेरा जब arbitration का schematic आया था in my CLD, I was able to create a lot of topics. Arbitrability of civil fraud, seat versus venue issue, फिर there was this group of companies doctrine in news. So these things I added. But you need to take that subjective call and you need to do a very good trend analysis in CLD. Questions repeat themselves thematically. ये साल मैं expect कर रहा हूँ competition law आने ही वाला है, like 90% sure कि competition law आने ही वाला है. So अभी आपको पता है competition law आने वाला है ना, आप अपना current पढ़ के लो. आपके पास there are only 3 sections in competition law, 3, 4, 5. Have your cases for them. You'll 100% score good. And if you know that for your optional, those who do good CLD often get rewarded in GS2. Last year, Visions Abhyas had a question on competition law. The first 15 marker, in fact, if my memory serves me right. Last year or last year. I was able to score a 7.5 in that question while using less data because I had too much. So you're going to find that benefit across the aisle. Just keep doing it. Your end of the day law optional will cover so many things now. It's one of those beautiful optionals which provides you a very intangible value. कहाँ आया यूज समझ में नहीं आएगा एंड साथ ही साथ ना इंटरव्यू में 100% काम आएगा और अगर क्लियर कर दिए तो क्लियर करने के बाद बहुत काम आएगा because people want to know okay what is the scene, how do things work. So that is when I really appreciate law as an option. So that's my take on it. With this I think I've dealt with major questions. Anything else you want to ask?
So can we mention like particular case in more than one question? Like there is Keshwan and Bharti case. This is very particular and so this case can be used in different answers. Like one case, if you remember, can this be?
100% you can use it.
Like so many cases, I would recommend. It's difficult to remember all the cases. So.
In fact, I'll tell you what. When you're doing landmark cases now, see there are only 7-10 landmark cases of each topic. Keshav Nanda Bharti, Air 1973 SC 1461. मेरे को citation भी याद है क्योंकि मैं क्या करता था, मैं introduction में एक second. There's no blank page, so bear with me. अगर ये मेरा introduction part है ना question का, तो मैं यहाँ पे एक बहुत अच्छी line लिख लेता था basic structure के question पे, और फिर मैं यहाँ पे केशव नंदा भारती लिखता था, और फिर मैं उसका citation लिख के उसको एक reference point use कर लेता था. So क्या होता था? The examiner knew I know good jurisprudence, and I had a case law to show कि okay, yeah, and the citation was a flex. So it's just about perception. Your Menka Gandhi's landmark. These are landmark cases. You can use them across the aisle, but don't do it in such fashion कि मेरे 10 के 10 आंसर में केशव नंदा है. थोड़ा variety, 3 क्वेश्चन छोड़ के वापस कर लेना चाहिए तो. So that's one thing. Anything else?
So you have mentioned you have shared your answers in Telegram. So which?
I'll share the link. In fact, if I can, I don't think I can share. I'll tell. Sir has shared the link. Honestly, I think on the group, on the Telegram group. But I will ask him again to share it. So you can just join it. Check my copies. I'm not saying I'm that good at it. If I was, I would have gotten a 300. But I'd say I'm pretty fair. And plus, ऐसे भी optional में है ना, आप score का कुछ कह नहीं सकते. I to think this entire examination has an aspect that once you get the score, you reverse engineer and know whether you were good at it or not. Okay, अब मेरा score आ गया तो अब मैं अच्छा हूँ. It should generally be the other way around. That you know you're good and you're performing it. So don't focus there. Focus on making sure your process is best, because results can vary, but process will always stay constant. That's all from my end. आपको और कुछ जानना है?
सर इस बार मैंने प्रीलिम्स दिया सर, जो स्टेटमेंट वाले क्वेश्चन थे उसमें मैं ऑलमोस्ट 10 क्वेश्चन है, उसमें 7 क्वेश्चन मुझे आ रहे थे कि मैं स्टेटमेंट को, जैसे स्टेटमेंट था, स्टेटमेंट 2 और 3 उसको सेटिस्फाई कर, पहले को सेटिस्फाई कर रही है, मैं उस स्टेटमेंट में ही फंस के रह गया. टाइम मैनेजमेंट कर लीजिए, या फिर उस टाइम नए टाइप के क्वेश्चन देख के, या फिर ऐसे इस टाइम में कैसे सर मुझे कैसे.
आप स्टेटमेंट्स एज इन प्रीलिम्स की बात कर रहे हैं?
जी जी.
देखिए क्या है ना, मैं खुद प्रीलिम्स का मैं अच्छा नहीं हूँ उतना, तो मैं उसमें कुछ रिकमेंड नहीं करूँगा. बट ऑल आई वुड से इज दैट generally there are some trends which you can see. If you'll say some, I remember some refugees from X place went to Y place. ये 23 का PYQ है. अब some refugees can go anywhere. I am not supposed to know where each refugee went or what they did. So this is a true statement. या no virus exists in water. Can you guarantee? नहीं guarantee कर सकते. So when you know that something can't be confirmed or denied, you need to take that logic into account and solve it. It's not a paper about knowledge. It's about deductive reasoning. क्या ये सच लग रहा है? Some things happen here. All things happen here. No thing happens here. What statement में generally अब UPSC has shown a trend. Factual data is generally wrong. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. Cut it. Don't think twice, and maybe that way you'll clear the exam more easily. But again, I am no savant in prelims, so I don't offer guidance in things I am not good at. I'd say I'm very average in prelims. That's all. Anything you want to ask?
CSAT, could you revise something for CSAT?
Again, ये मेरा domain ही नहीं है. This is not my area of expertise, and for those reasons, I'm out.
But sir, what you are like, what you have done, like your strategies are please if you.
See, for CSAT, I just joined a crash course. The crash course was designed in such a fashion that I cleared it in one stroke. 15 दिन में था, मैं continuous lecture देखता था और मैं मेरा CSAT पूरा ready करके जाता था. Practice हो जाती थी crash course में. That's it. Then I performed on the paper. And the thing is, since I did it in such a short span of time, my memory remembered everything. Doing CSAT across the year, I don't think is very wise. Because what's the guarantee you'll remember on D-Day? So, in fact, rather than that, just a month and a half before the D-Day, just do your CSAT. So everything will be fresh. That's all. Welcome. Oh my God, itne sare questions. Thank you, Zia. You shared my Telegram link. What should first-time attempters focus on to gain a competitive edge over previous attempters with experience as a reference? Experience is its own gold. One can't discount experience. But what you can as first-time attempters gain is you are true to your law. You're not doing this for the exam because you might be in law school or you might be covering it. You have that time to devote only to the optional. Nor prelims is hurting you, nor mains is coming into your core area issue, or CSAT's not your concern. तुम law school में हो तो तुम law optional full speed में कर सकते हो. In fact, I did 3 months of my during my law school prep. 3 महीने मैंने थोड़ा दिमाग लगा दिया था optional में, so it really reduced my load. So you can, that's your advantage. In terms of other things, answer writing everyone has to do. It's a very variable subjective experience game. Is following LiveLaw and bar bench helpful? 100%. I took a senior's ID for LiveLaw. For 2 years of my life, she gave me her LiveLaw ID and I used to note down additional cases and everything. And that has really helped me because sometimes questions come directly from some landmark case. Like if this year they asked, let's say Davinder Singh versus Punjab in the paper, I would not be surprised. Sub-categorization का important judgment है. It can come. So yeah, last year I think Sita Soren पूछा था या सीता सोरेन के लाइंस पे कुछ पूछा था उन्होंने? डिड दे?
Sir, yes, sir, but I did not remember that particular. But पूछा था like सीता.
कुछ तो पूछा था. सो क्या है ना, अभी आपको पता है वो लैंडमार्क केस है तो वो आपको क्लियरली दिख के आ जाएगा. सो उतना पढ़ के जाओ. एंड हैविंग अ गुड करंट एडिशन हेल्प्स बिकॉज देन योर इंट्रोडक्शंस विल आल्सो गेट मोर रिफाइंड. सो दैट इज देयर. यस, इट इज वेरी हेल्पफुल. अनुभव, I am in my 6th semester and planning to take law as my UPSC optional. Is it a good strategy to complete the optional alongside my law degree? 100%. How can I build a strong base now to minimize my UPSC attempts? I love how you think you have to give many. I love that realism in your question. But I would say, Jagriti, see, if you're in your 6th semester, you should start making your detailed notes. Since you'll have that time, you'll have that environment, go through everything, make your detailed notes, then start doing answer writing. So you'll realize that even if I have the world's data on a particular topic, my answer in 7 minutes can't replicate it. I had so many points in my answers that I had to really manage my time very strategically in the paper. Like, that's one thing, and you need to be very good at selecting your option in your papers. If you select the wrong option, you will really regret it. So be very careful there. And I think, Jagriti, is a good time. Just start off. You have all the notes available possible on my Telegram channel, or even on, there are so many sources. Just start making your own notes, start reading those books. Syllabus का list already UPSC ने दे दिया है. उन्होंने एक PYQ paper already दे दिया है. Generally, whenever we have semester exams, 15 दिन पहले हम trend analysis करके वो exam को hack away करते हैं. तो आप उसी approach से UPSC के paper को start off तो कीजिए. क्योंकि majority questions तो वापस trend analysis से मिल ही जाएंगे आपको. So if I'm asking you a question on secularism, you should not be doubtful. You should know it, because well, we've studied secularism for 6 years now, 5 plus your attempt here. So that's there. So can you please let us know how to structure how one can structure their answer to be precise yet comprehensive? Can we use flowcharts or tables and illustrations for the matter of fact? Illustrations 100%. Flowcharts, well, it depends on whether you can pull it off. The thing is, these things we all want to do, but we don't get the time to do. Like when you'll try to create flow diagrams and everything, you'll be so focused on taking that piece of paper, आप question की demand miss ना कर लो. And because आपके diagrams का आधा mark मिलेगा आपको, but आपके content के आपको 2-3 marks मिलेंगे, जो आपके main marks है. So you need to balance, but of course if you have something innovative, you should definitely try it off. So till now you talked about reading your own notes comprehensively, but what about de facto notes? Kush, sorry, but buddy, actually I did my own notes. I never refer to de facto's notes. I just refer to de facto's test series. As sir had rightly pointed out, I'm one of those kids who just came, never even came. I just got the copy, wrote it, scanned it, sent it to sir. And because I have always believed in being a completely self-study person in my optional, I'd like to discuss it with my fellow optional students, but that's it. काम मेरा है, करना मुझे है, उसका execution मेरी जिम्मेदारी है. बाकी marks बोलेंगे. That's my general approach. What source can we follow for law optional? I think in this regard, Aditya sir has come up with something really nice. I like how he's sending weekly updates on current affairs. When you have your notes ready, you always generally, अब ये A4 side sheet paper है आपका, आपने यहाँ notes बनाए, तो आप दूसरी side तो blank ही छोड़ोगे generally. नहीं छोड़ रहे तो छोड़ा करो. तो क्या होगा, अगर उस पर कोई current addition आया तो आप उधर 1 मिनट में note off करके ले सकते हो. So that is one thing which is very beneficial. Does master's degree give an edge in the interview? No. Your knowledge of law will give you an edge in the interview. Of being any specific college alumni. Oh, I love this question, Sindhuja. Whether you're from an NLU, whether you're from a government university, whether you're from any other college, a private college or whatever, it makes no difference whatsoever. This exam involves your answer. तुम्हारा जो paper sheet होता है उस पर उनको नाम नहीं पता आपका, आपकी identity नहीं पता, उन्हें बस आपका answer पता है. The reason people from better colleges generally clear this exam is because they are hardworking, not because they are from an NLU. I know kids who are from extremely good colleges, NLS, Nalsar, GNLU, ये वो वगैरह, वो अभी भी कर रहे हैं attempt. NLU Jodhpur, in fact, I met someone a few days ago. Because it's not about आप कौन सी कॉलेज से हो, इट्स अबाउट आपने कितना अच्छा काम किया है. दिस एग्जाम इज ऑल अबाउट who you are and what you can do. The best of the best get humbled. आप IIT से हो, आप IIM से हो, आप NLU से हो, UPSC doesn't care. Even in the interview, it might come off good for 1 second, but if you don't know what you're talking about, you're anyways gone. I come from Symbiosis Pune. I'm not an NLU kid. I'm very proud of it because my college is one of the best colleges when it comes to a private college. And the highest score in law optional, by the way, till now, which I know, is 293. I'm not sure of Anmol ma'am's score, but the last I remember. 293 is Varuna Agarwal's score. She's an alumnus of Symbiosis. So that is there. Thorough reading or making notes while reading. What better way of reading a book? This is a difficult one because in practice, when you are reading, you want to make notes, and when you're making notes, you want to read. So you need to be a nice person to yourself. Take a pencil instead of a pen and start reading it thoroughly. Once you've understood the concept, do it chapter wise. In fact, पहला chapter पढ़ा, समझा, आपने circle कर लिया, अब notes बनाओ उसके. और notes बनाते समय ना, please समझो कि तुम्हारी ज़रूरत कितनी है. ओवर नोट्स बना के किसी का फायदा नहीं हुआ है. मुझे मेरे डिटेल्ड नोट्स जो 100 पेज के हैं ना, उनको छोटा कर करके 20-25 पेज में लाने पड़े, क्योंकि एग्जाम में रिवाइज कब करोगे वरना. लाइक अभी आई हैव रीच्ड अ पॉइंट दैट आई फील लाइक आई कैन कंप्लीट माय ऑप्शनल इन 14 days, which is a very happy thing for me. But that is because of the constant, iterations which I have continuously built over the years. So you can make sure of that. I think, thank you, Utkarsh. I hope I answered your question. With this, I think I have covered major questions which were asked, and I'd like to rest this session. So if anyone else has anything to ask or forever hold your silence. So I think that's great. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time. I hope it was informative and I could give you some good tips. And I hope one of you gets 300 and comes here. And I would be very happy, very, very happy if someone can score 300. Thank you so much.